accelerate your Good morning. Thank you for joining us. We're so excited to have Holly Owens here today for our Alabama Minority Vendor Conference Highlight Series. She's going to talk about accelerating your trucking business. So we really appreciate you joining us for the Highlight Series. And today's session is number 1 in a 4-part series. And we invite you to join us for the entire series in the Minority Vendor Conference. So Holly Owens is the co-founder of Hauling Forward Logistics, LLC, a leading logistics and trucking company with extensive experience in transportation. Holly started as a dispatcher and quickly became a leader in the industry. Along with her husband, Condrej Owens, she founded Hauling Forward Logistics with a vision to revolutionize logistics through technology, exceptional customer service, and sustainable practices. Under their leadership, the company has expanded its fleet and service capabilities, earning a reputation for quality and efficiency. Hauling Forward Logistics prides itself on building strong client relationships and delivering top-notch support, all done with a personal touch they call Made with Love. Because Holly's joining us today and you guys have signed on for this workshop, we're offering a 50% discount on the full conference. Holly will be presenting a part 2 of her session at the conference, and we invite you to join us. And her code is Holly, Holly, and you can either scan the QR code or use the link below. We will take questions and answers at the end of this workshop. There's a button at the bottom of your screen that says Q&A. So if you would put your questions in there, then we will work with Holly to get those questions answered during this call. So thank you so much for joining us again. Again, thank you so much for joining us. And Holly, over to you.
Will be beneficial to those that have joined us today. I want to be sure. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Jennifer?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sure. Thank you. So hope everything that I say is beneficial to the owner operators that I have here with us today. I'm sure many of you have a wealth of knowledge that you probably can share at the end. But my goal here today is just to provide you with what I have learned, what I know, and try to help you to excel your business, escalate your business into the next level. So I just want to say good day, truck owner operators. I'm so delighted to have the opportunity to address you and share all of the valuable insight that I have. And I want you all to know, first off, your role as a truck owner operator is very important, very pivotal in the transportation of goods. And I commend each of you on your dedication to this essential task thus far in your own individual business. And so your expertise and your experience, of course, is invaluable. So I just want to thank you today for joining me. And I hope on this short journey that we have, we can all learn and grow together. Okay. So today, what I would like to do is I would just like to kind of take this presentation so that we can touch areas for everyone that has joined us. I'm sure we have those that are joining us that are fairly new to the industry. And then I'm sure we have some here that have been in the industry for some time. So I really would just like to touch on all bases so that we can, no matter where you are in this process, you can learn something here today. And so we're just going to have an introduction into kind of the trucking business, trucking industry. What are some important operational strategies? How we can leverage technology in helping to grow our business. And I know what we all want to know is how can we shift our overall focus in our business to financial growth, financial management, so that we can begin to have sustainable growth within our business. Okay. And then finally, we're just going to end with how can we implement some um, strategic steps to begin to move forward and grow our overall business. Okay. So first off, what are my overall expectations here today? My overall expectation is just to ensure that I can offer you all some vital, um, I'll just say some vital input into how you can begin to grow your business. Okay. How we can look at the supply chain and how we can incorporate ourselves into this supply chain so that you can begin to collaborate with shippers and you can begin to collaborate with each other in order to begin to grow your business and to make your business successful. Okay. And so we're going to educate you on the industry trends. And we're going to look at some operational best practices. And then finally, we're going to begin to look at how collaboration opportunities will definitely help you to begin to grow here. Okay. So let's look first off and let's talk about something that's very important in this industry. Okay. And something that's very important is market size and market growth. Okay. Because in this industry, we have to look at where's the market. All right. What is the increasing demand? What is the demand in terms of what is needing in this trucking industry? So the increasing demand for trucking transportation service in general, what does it mean? It means that more people and businesses need trucks to move more things from one place to another. Okay. So why is this happening? Why do we have market trends that go up? Why do we have market trends that go down? Okay. Well, it's simple. You have more people that are shopping in particularly online. And so when you have that, you have items that need to be delivered to homes instead of going to stores. All right. So as a result, you need trucks that are going to carry those packages to customers quickly. Okay. And so companies always are producing and shipping goods, whether it's food, whether it's electronics, whatever it may be. You've got products that need to move from a warehouse to a location or from a warehouse to a store. So with all of the extra work that's out there, trucking companies can sometimes become more of a demand in market trends. So they can go up and they can go down. And so if we go back and we look, for example, during pre-COVID, okay, pre-COVID, all of us that are in trucking know that the trucking business was booming, okay? But once COVID hit, you had everyone going into the homes, not being able to move out. And so you had government giving monies for businesses. And so what happened is that you had a demand for trucks, okay? And also even not only the demands for trucks, because the demand was so high, even the cost to buy a truck or to buy a trailer during that time went way down. So what you had was an oversaturation of trucks coming into the industry, okay? And so everything was booming. And then once COVID ended, you still had this oversaturation of trucks, but at the same time, the products were no longer there. And so that's when you started to see a downtrend in the market, okay? And what has happened to a lot of trucking companies is that they've had to go out of business because they haven't been able to keep up because the overall market trend has changed because the number of trucks that are needed in the market is way down. So what we have to do now is be innovative and try to figure out, okay, how can I continue to expand my trucking company, even during, I would say, a downtime? What are some of the things that I can do to begin to continue to grow? Okay. So you have to find another opportunity. All right. What is needed out there? What is needed out there by shippers now that I can put myself into and give myself an opportunity to grow? Okay. So for example, a lot of trucking companies have shifted to oversized or heavy items or construction equipment or large machinery or all sorts of other goods that are being transported. And so the main thing during market trends is that you've got to be ready to adjust to what is needed at the moment. Okay. And so a lot of times, what I've run into is sometimes truckers don't really want to adjust. They're accustomed to carrying one type of good, and it's hard for them to make that shift. And so if you don't make that shift, sometimes you'll find yourself stuck in that what you are accustomed to carrying and accustomed to moving may not be there. You're overlooking opportunities that may be there. And so, I can give you an example in my company. Um, we started out with a contract with one of the Hyundai suppliers, and it started out at a very small contract. But me moving into an industry that I wasn't accustomed to, it allowed me to be able to build relationships, to be able to gain additional contracts. So, for example, I built relationships with people that worked at that particular company. And even once they left there and they moved to another company, it still would contact us to say, hey, this is the industry that I'm into now. Can you all provide service for us? So, for example, I had a gentleman that worked for that company that he's actually a warehouse manager for a gun company in Alabama now. Well, he contacted us about possibly moving some freight for them. Well, gun carrying is something I've never in my wildest dreams thought about, but it was an opportunity for us to grow, to learn a new industry, um, um, in this time where freight is tight. Okay, so the bottom line is you've got to be willing to open yourself up during these up and down market trends. Okay, and so when we look at market forecasts for small trucking industries, what we're trying to predict is what will happen to the business in the future. Okay, so for small trucking companies, um, we have to find a way to expand because the technology is changing, technology is growing. And so if we don't grow and change with that, we'll find ourselves on the outside looking in. Okay. We have so many nuances that are keeping us sometimes from expanding like we want to, like fuel prices or driver shortages, all things that we're going to get into. And all of those things will put a hamper on our business, for the most part. So you got to find a way to be able to grow your business. And a lot of time that means stepping out of your comfort zone and moving into areas where it's needed, where the market is going. Okay. All right. So what are some of the challenges that we face in small trucking owner operators? Okay. Um, there's a wealth of challenges, but some of the major challenges that we face is rising fuel costs. We all know that. Okay. And so in that, and a lot of you all may know this, you got to develop ways or strategies as a small trucking company to reduce your fuel consumption. Okay. And so how do I do that? How do I do that? So first off is that you want to, of course, keep your trucks in good working condition. And so what does that mean? Your engine, your tires, you're checking your oil regularly. All of those, it's just like your regular car or truck. You have to maintain your truck regularly, or what will happen when you get out there on the road is that you'll have maintenance issues, and the cost on the road is far greater than when you're probably at your home base where you can find people to do things at a much cheaper rate. Okay. So keeping your trucks maintained will allow you to run efficiently, which will ultimately, of course, lead to fuel and save money. Okay. Now, one of the other major ways, which, even with me working with a lot of other trucking companies, is that they haven't figured out how to run what we consider efficient routes. Okay. And so how do you determine if my route is efficient or my route is not? Well, you've got to start to you've got to start to look at technology, incorporating technology to help you to find the shortest and fastest routes to your delivery. Okay. Sometimes I may have a driver that goes out or is going on a particular route to make a delivery. And he may, when I look back, he took a longer route than a shorter route. Okay. And so you've got to have or incorporate technology that would allow you to determine what is my shortest route? What is my fastest route? Okay. Am I leaving early enough to not run into traffic? Okay. If you're going through certain areas, there's certain times of the day where you're going to have more traffic. Sitting in traffic, of course, burns more fuel. It may sound small on the short end, but if you look at that in a week or in a day or in a month, you'll begin to see that you can begin to decrease your fuel consumption just by making small changes. Okay. Even with your the way you're driving more smoothly, avoiding rapid starts and rapid stops, all of those things help to keep our fuel economy down. Okay. And then one of the major ways that we all are probably familiar with is weight, the weight that you're carrying on your truck. All right. So if you have a truck that you're carrying more weight, then of course you're going to burn more fuel. Okay. So it's good sometimes to try to, tailor yourself sometimes to loads that have less weight, making sure that that weight is distributed properly. I know a lot of times drivers don't know how weight is supposed to be distributed within the truck. And so that can also increase your fuel costs by simply not having weight distributed according to how it should be. Okay. Now, another great, big, huge challenge in the trucking industry, those of you all that are owner operators that are not driving your own trucks, if you have a driver, is that there's a huge increase in driver shortage. Okay. And so how do we become more marketable in finding good drivers? Okay, I have companies all the time that contact me and say that, hey, I'm looking for a driver. I'm looking for a good driver. Okay. And so, what do we determine? How do we know what a good driver is? Okay. There's a lot of ways to try to figure out what a good driver is, but at the same time, as an owner operator, you've got to be appealing to a good driver. Okay. And so one way is that you've got to make sure your wages and your benefits are attractive to a driver. Okay. I know now in the industry, loads are down, but you still have to be attractive in terms of getting a good driver. You have to offer competitive pay. You have to give other perks to drivers to let them know that, hey, as an owner operator, I value you. I want you here. I value you, your family. And so that's very important when you're trying to acquire a good driver. You want to provide training and development for them. And it's not something expensive that you have to do. There are actually free online tools for drivers. A lot of drivers come straight out of CDL school and they have no idea in terms of how to run or how to operate within a business. And so it's important for you as an owner operator to offer some sort of comprehensive short program or just training so that they know when I get out here, what are the do's, what are the don'ts? Because if they don't, those things that they're doing wrong is going to affect your company. Okay. When he or she gets pulled over and they do inspections, if they don't know what they're supposed to do, then in the long run, that is going to affect you as a trucking company. So it always behooves us to make sure that we're building strategies when we're talking about hiring drivers, that we're building strategies so that we're ensuring that they are successful. They know the do's and they don't and the don'ts. Okay. Another important avenue is making sure that the working conditions are good, okay? And when I mean the working conditions, the truck that they're riding in, ensure that the drivers have a comfortable and well-maintained truck. I've had drivers that I'm sorry, I've had owner operators put drivers in trucks where the windows don't roll up and down. The air is not working properly, the heat is not working properly, but at the same time, they want the driver out there running day in and day out. So when you don't ensure that you're improving or giving good work conditions, then what you're going to have is you're going to have a huge turnover in terms of your driver. Your driver will not stay with you if they don't feel valued. Okay. And you've got to increase and diversify your pool when you're looking for drivers. You've got to utilize online sources like Indeed and so forth to find a large pool of drivers, preferably those drivers that are experienced. They can even bring perspectives to you that you don't have. A lot of drivers that have been driving for a while, they're connected to shippers. And so they can bring business to you that you necessarily could not bring to yourself. So it's always important that you want to open up your pool or diversify your recruitment pool so that you can get a driver that is seasoned and they can be a benefit to your company overall. And there's a lot of ways to be able to do that in terms of diversifying your workforce. So utilizing technology in order to do that is always a great way. Okay. All right, so we've kind of talked about the vehicle maintenance and repair, which is very, very important. And we're going to go a little bit more into building optimization in terms of building your routes. I know a lot of drivers sometimes they haven't begun to incorporate um, technology into their trucking business, but incorporating technology is very important in your business overall, even into just simply maintaining your truck. A lot of times when you simply don't even maintain your truck, you can have the best of the best contracts, but if you are not able to produce because you have continuous breakdowns or due to a lack of maintenance because you have continuous breakdown, you can lose those contracts. I've had drivers to gain contracts or gain dedicated routes, and they've lost those routes or they've lost those contracts simply because they could not maintain their trucks or they didn't have software to help ensure that their drivers were optimizing what they were doing. Okay. And that optimization can be simply as ensuring that they're able to get to their loads on time. Okay. So, you have software that calculates those best routes based on real-time traffic data, road conditions, delivery schedules. And so that benefits you because that helps trucks to avoid traffic jams and roadblocks, and so that ultimately allow you to have faster deliveries. And of course, that can overall help to even help with your fuel consumption. All right. And so just simply employing technology will help you to leverage your business. And even when you go into companies or you go into shippers and you're trying to gain these contracts, you being able to leverage and show them that, hey, we're using, this type of technology in our business, it gives them a sense of security that, hey, I know that if I give them this contract, they're going to be able to deliver on time because they're paying attention to all of the small details of their company. Okay. Because when I go in to get contracts, the first thing they ask me is, how can you ensure that you're going to be able to make these deliveries on time? You're going to ensure that it's picked up on time, it's delivered on time. You can track your driver, you know where your driver is. I can call you and ask you where your driver is, and you know where that driver is. And so all of those things give them a comfort level of knowing that this company has dotted all their I's and crossed all of their T's, ensuring that they're going to be efficient in what they're doing, which is very important. Okay. All right. So let's get into talking about a little bit about what are some ways that you can leverage in terms of going in and negotiating contracts. Okay, I know that's important for everyone. Everyone wants to know how I can get into a system where I have dedicated routes or dedicated lanes, something I can depend on consistently. Okay, so going in, getting contracts, one of the best ways I have found, is nothing like them putting a name with a face or a face with a name. So what that means is walking through the door. Okay, walking through the door representing your business is the best way in order for you to gain contracts. I was just sharing with Jennifer earlier before this event started, is that I gained one of my best contracts from simply meeting someone, I would say almost in the street, okay? Having, displaying my business, marketing my business by simply having a shirt on. I gained one of my best contracts because a lot of times shippers are looking for us, but they can't find us. Okay. Yes, you may pull up to pick up a load, but sometimes that's not the best way to get a contract. The best way to get a contract is to walk into that door and negotiate and tell them, hey, this is what I can offer you. This is how I can do it. And they can put a name with you. Okay. So you have to be okay with understanding that you need to walk in, but you also need to know, what am I asking for? Okay. What do I need when I walk in here? What do I need to be profitable? Okay. So before entering negotiations, you need to have a clear understanding of, number one, your operating cost. Okay. And most owner operators do not know what they need in terms of operating costs. So for example, if I have a driver that comes to me and say, hey, Holly, I need you to help me get loads from X, from here to here. My first question to them is, what is your rate per mile for you to be profitable? Okay. Most of them will say to me, I don't know. I just need to make $1,000 a day. Well, you can make $1,000 a day going from here, from Alabama to Nashville, Tennessee, but you can also make $1,000 a day going from here to Birmingham. Okay. But what your knowing your rate per mile is knowing what I need to make in order for me to be profitable. Okay. So knowing your operating costs when you go into a contract is very important. Okay. So what do these operating costs include? It includes your fuel. It is going to include your maintenance on your truck. It is going to include your labor. So if you have a driver, which you have to pay your driver. And then it's also going to include your insurance. Okay. So when you go in to try to negotiate a contract with the shipper, you've got to already know in your mind what my operating costs are for whatever load or whatever contract I'm going to get. I already know my operation costs. Okay. Because they're going to give you a number, but if that number doesn't work for you, although it may sound good, but if it's not going to be profitable for you once you calculate fuel and maintenance and labor and insurance, it's not a good contract. It's not a good contract. Okay. So you have to be okay with saying no to a contract, but at the same time, you also sometimes have to be okay with saying yes to a contract that's not going to give you this big, huge profit. It gives you enough profit, but you also have to be okay with saying yes to a small profit, because a lot of times, and most of the times, I can tell you 90% of the time, one contract will always lead you into additional contracts. Okay. It's always about getting your foot into the door. Once you get your foot into the door and you prove yourself, I can almost guarantee you that contract will lead you to additional contracts. Since I've been in this business, I don't have a Facebook, I don't have a TikTok, I don't have any of those things. Not that they're not beneficial, they're really beneficial. But all of the business and all of the contracts that I have gotten are simply word of mouth and building relationships. And so that is invaluable in this business because your work needs to speak for itself. And if you allow your work to speak for you, you will grow. You will see your business grow simply by doing what you said you're going to do. Okay. Another way to kind of, grow in terms of in terms of your business is you want to look at what are the current market rates. Okay. I get drivers all the time that come to me and say, hey, um, I don't want to take this load because I remember when I took this load 7 months ago, this load was paying X, Y, and Z. And I say to them, you are exactly right. Exactly right. So, for example, when I first came into this industry, we used to run a load. I don't know. I guess, but I'm sure most of you are from Alabama. But we used to run a load from Troy, Alabama to Athens, Alabama for $1,200 daily. Daily. Now that same load goes for about $600 or $650. So basically, it's been cut in half. Okay. So the current market rates are tremendously down from what they used to be. Okay. So now, what do I do with that? Okay. The rates are what they are, but what do I do with that to make myself profitable? Okay. And so that is what you have to figure out within your business. What do I clearly need to be profitable? Okay. It doesn't mean that you can't take loads that may pay a little bit less as long as you're profitable, as long as you know you're going to go into something else that is going to make you more profitable. Okay. And so you have to, in this whole process, you've got to understand market rates. Okay. You can't change the market rates. The market rates are what they are. So we've got to figure out how we can work within those market rates and still be profitable. Okay. And it's possible, but you've just got to know how to do that. Okay. You've got to build those strong working relationships. And you've got to, as a business, figure out what are my operating costs and what I need in order to be profitable. I have a lot of companies who don't know that. And so they're always looking for that big dollar, let's say that big dollar load, but that big dollar load is far and few in between. So they find themselves not being profitable in the business because they're always looking for the home run. The home run is not going to be there every day. So a lot of times the small runs, it will still allow you to be profitable as long as you know as a company what you need in order to be profitable. Okay. So in that's what I mean. You've got to expand your business. Okay. You got to be clear with yourself that I don't have to just carry lumber. I don't have to just carry this, or I don't have to carry that. You've got to open your mind and be flexible, and you've got to move where the market has gone. Okay. So for example, in Alabama, we're a manufacturing state. Okay. So most of the things that are moving here are going to be things that are going to tailor to manufacturing companies, especially if, for example, if you're in a flatbed, you have a lot of steel, you have a lot of coils, you have a lot of things that are moving that are going to benefit the manufacturing industry. And if you're not willing to open yourself up to those trends of what's out there, then you're limiting yourself in terms of being profitable. Okay. And so, in saying that, a lot of times I have owner operators that get drivers that have no experience in certain areas. Okay. So, instead of them growing those drivers into the areas that are going to be profitable, they allow those drivers to stay confounded into that small market. And then what happens is that they find themselves begin losing money because what's out there in the market, they can't carry or they can't move those loads because they haven't opened up their company, or they haven't opened up their driver's ability to be able to be more marketable. Okay. So you got to be open and be flexible to moving where the market trends have gone. Okay. So some tips for overall rate management: you want to regularly review and adjust rates. Okay. The market goes up and down, and you need to know that. You need to know where the market is so that when you book a load or when you get a load, you want to ensure that you're getting the load for what the rate is at this moment. So you need to be constantly looking at the market to say, every week the market changes. It does. Every week it changes. The load that you took last week for $600, that load probably this week maybe should be going for $700. So don't let the market pass you by because you're not keeping up with the market. Okay. And so those are ways that you can ensure that you are being profitable, is that you're keeping up with the market and you're moving and you're letting the shippers know, or you're allowing brokers to know that, hey, the market is here this week. And so this is where it should be. Because a lot of shippers and a lot of brokers and so forth, they will stay behind the market if you will allow them to. So you've got to let them know that, hey, I'm educated. I know where the market is. So this is where you should be, and this is where we need to be. And a lot of them will come up to where the market is when they know that you have educated yourself. Okay. All right. So that's where technology and all of those items come into play, is because you're keeping abreast to where the market is. You don't want to just get in there and drive a truck, but you don't look at all of the other nuances of the business. The business has a lot of changing parts weekly. And if you're not keeping up with those changing parts, things will begin to pass you by. Okay. All right. So you want to be clear. You want to communicate clearly with your clients, with whether you have a shipper you're working with, whether you have a broker you're working with. You want to be clear and be transparent how the rates are, where the rates should be, how you've determined what you should carry this particular load for. You want to be clear with them in doing that. And I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of times when I'm dealing with shippers and I can show them the numbers in terms of, hey, this is what the fuel cost is going to be for me. This is what my labor cost is. This is what my insurance costs. When they can see it in black and white and they can see what your overhead is, more likely than not, they're willing to work with you to get to a profitable amount. Because you got to remember, the only thing that they're looking at is that they're simply looking at is, hey, this is what I just need done. They don't take into account always what the driver needs. They don't understand you have insurance. They don't understand you have maintenance. They don't understand those parts. And so when you educate them, then you open up their mind to begin to understand what you need in terms of your operating costs. And more likely than not, they're willing to work with you because they want to do business with you. Believe it or not, they really do want to do business with you because they have products that they want to move. Okay. All right. So, also moving into other ways that you want to make sure that you're staying compliant is always important. Make sure you're keeping a good claim history. You know, especially if you have drivers, you want to make sure that they're doing everything properly so that you can maintain a good safety practice. Because if you don't have a good safety practice, that will hurt you tremendously. Even when you go to get contracts, the first thing they want to see is they want to see your insurance. A lot of times they want to see any inspections you've had. So what they're looking at is, what is the claim history? What is the driving history of this company? Is this company safe? Okay. So when you're not staying in compliance, then that will hurt your business in the long run, especially when you go to get contracts. And I know later down the line, we'll begin to talk about government contracts and so forth. And so when you move into trying to get larger contracts like government contracts, they really look into what is your history in terms of a company. Are you a safe company? Okay. And so it's very important that you're paying attention to your overall compliance. Okay. And trust me, staying in compliant can be a very daunting task. There are actually companies out there that will help you maintain your compliance, making sure your drug screenings are being done, and all of your trucking parts are in place, because it can be a daunting task. And if you are owner operator that's driving, it's very hard to keep up with all of your compliance. And so, this is something that, I can, speak with Jennifer about later in touching on, is keeping up with compliance and even doing a session in compliance, because that is a whole session in itself, is maintaining good compliance, because that is very important in terms of your trucking industry, your trucking company, and being successful as well, and decreasing your deductibles and things like that. Because when your insurance cost goes up, it can completely put you under as a company. Insurance is already high. And so if you begin to have claims on your insurance, there's basically no way you will be able to maintain yourself within the industry if your insurance goes up. Okay. So all of those things are important insurance, and to ensure that you are sustaining your company so that you begin to being able to move to the next level. Okay. All right, we've already talked about driver retention and recruitment. We've covered those areas. And so that is important, of course, if you are an owner operator that hires drivers, okay? TMS systems, I know a lot of owner operators don't have necessarily TMS systems, because a lot of times it's just maybe one truck. But TMS systems can be very important as well in streamlining your business, because it allows you to be able to improve your operation and to improve efficiency, because you can know where my driver is, where my driver is going, and where I'm going to the next location. It helps us to be able to reduce overall paperwork, but at the same time, it helps you to automate everything, so that all of this is about scaling your business to the next level. Okay. We have to get away from paper and pencil, and you have to be okay with scaling your business into the next level, which is technology. Okay. Because you will find that it will help you tremendously to be able to streamline what you're doing, and help you to be able to be profitable in moving from one level to the next level. Okay. So even simply, if you just have one truck, a TMS system is very good in terms of you being able to track your shipments. It helps you to even be able to keep up with the business that you've done, being able to go back to that business and do business with them again. So a TMS system can be very important in helping to scale your business as well. Okay. GPS tracking, I'll say it is invaluable in terms of, especially if you have a driver, keeping up with your driver, where your driver is, how long your driver is there. That helps tremendously, because you even want to know how long you've been at a shipping location. I can go back and say to you that, hey, when I'm at this place, it's going to take them 2 to 3 hours to load me. This is not a place I maybe want to go back to. So having GPS tracking allows you to be able to enhance your visibility and your monitoring of your fleet, okay, which is very important, because utilizing that data allows you to be able to scale your management of your routes, okay? You want to decrease your delays as much as possible. We know sometimes it's just inevitable when we go places, we get delayed. But being able to decrease your delays will help you in scaling your business tremendously, okay? Because a lot of times, and we'll book a load and we'll already have another load booked. But if we get delayed on that first load, then it allows us to be delayed on the second load, where we can lose that particular contract for that second load. Okay. So being able to operate efficiently will allow you to be able to continue to scale your company as well, because once again, you're building relationships. Even if you're building relationship with brokers or whether you're building relationship with shippers, if they know they can depend on you to be there and be there on time, that is invaluable in terms of scaling your business. Okay. ELDs, all of us that, if you are a company that travel across state lines, you have to have an ELD, which is of course an electronic logging device. Okay. A lot of drivers see ELDs as cumbersome because, of course, DOT keeps up with us with our ELDs, but we can also use our ELDs to help us to be able to stay in compliance. Okay. If you have a good ELD, it is going to streamline your record keeping process. Okay. When you get ready to do your IFTA reporting or any sort of reporting, if you have a good ELD system, it is going to maintain all of that information for you. Okay. So you want a system that is user friendly, that is going to have a very intuitive and easy to use interface for not only you as a owner operator, but if you have a driver, also for your driver. Okay. Your driver and you need to be able to know how to use that ELD perfectively. Because if they get pulled over by DOT, DOT pulls your ELD system, and there is something that is not correct in that ELD system, then you all know they can take you out of service for up to 10 hours. Okay. So it's very important that you ensure simply that you are up to date, know how to use these ELD systems, because they can be good, but also they cannot be our friend if we get pulled over by DOT and we do not know how to properly use these ELD systems. Okay. All right. So just quickly, I know our 45 minutes is coming up to an end, but I just want to touch briefly on securing funding for business. It of course, when you want to begin to start to escalate your business and grow your business, I will say there are several things that you want to start out day one in ensuring that you can acquire the best funding source for your needs. Okay. So it's simple in terms of how you need to start out. The first thing that you need to do is that you need to determine how much money I need to begin to scale my business. All right. Do I want to purchase equipment? Do I want to expand operations? Or do I just need to simply cover my operation expenses that I have now? Okay. You don't want to begin out scaling too much and you can't handle your scaling where you're scaling to. Okay. So you need to know your exact needs. This helps you choose the right type of funding that you need. Okay. So when you go to an investor or you go to a lender, you need to be able to build a clear case in terms of what I need in order to build or in order to grow my company. Okay. So what's the first thing I need to do? The first thing that you need to do is you need to develop a business plan. Okay. Developing a business plan, no matter whether you're going into trying to get government contracts, whether you're trying to go into a bank and get lending, the first thing you have to have is that you have to have a business plan. Okay. Your business plan is going to have an overall view of your business, market analysis, your financial projections. Where am I now? Where do I project myself to be in a year, 2 years? And how are you planning to use those funds? Okay. Because the bottom line is when you get funding, they want to be able to see how you're going to use that money that they give you. And they want to ensure that you're going to be able to pay that money back. Okay. So you've got to have a strong business plan that's going to demonstrate your understanding of the market and how you will achieve your goals. And you have to make it attractive for investors in order to secure that particular loan. Okay. And, it can be tasking in order trying to navigate through that. And I know we don't have time here, but there is I know when I started out, I utilized SBDC in order to begin to help me scale my business and build my business plan. Okay. So I will say that if you're starting out trying to build your business or you need help in creating a business plan, I know that you can reach out to SBDC. So I'm going to give you the website that you can actually go to and you can sign up and then you can begin with them helping. They will help you begin to develop your business plan. And that will, of course, be step one in trying to move towards finding lending or going into either government contracts or state contracts. They will begin to help you move through that process of number one, building a business plan. And so that website is going to be www.asbdc.org. www.asbdc.org. And if you go on there and sign up, you will see how to get in contact with the right individuals to start day one with just helping you to build your business plan. Okay. All right. So I hope in closing that I have offered, some avenues for you all just to get started. And I'll leave you with saying, and I encourage you to participate in any industry associations, just like we have here. You want to always indulge yourself into any sort of professional development that is out there. That is how you're going to build professional relationships. Okay. Explore any sort of collaborative opportunities with other trucking businesses. Talk to one another, figure out what others are doing. Collaboration, collaboration, collaboration will help you grow and help you to even grow your overall skills. Okay. So in saying that, I will leave you with saying, let's build together. I hope at some point I will meet each of you all that are here. I am very encouraged with us doing this seminar, and I hope from here we can continue to grow together. And I will turn this back over to Jennifer. And I say thank you, Jennifer, and I am open for any questions.
Thank you so much, Holly. We appreciate that. Um, thank you, everyone, for attending. And again, Holly, if you'd advance forward, I think there are some slides about the conference on there, or go back to the ones at the very top.
Okay, give me just a moment here.
But just as a reminder, the conference is September 5th and 6th. We'd love for you all to register and join us in Birmingham. In addition to you guys attending this seminar, we also have a 50% discount code for those of you all. So the code is Holly, HOLLY. That's the promo code, HOLLY. So we definitely hope that you will join us, and Holly will be doing a pre-conference session at the conference on that Thursday for part 2 of this discussion, which I found very insightful. Learned a whole lot. I'm sure you guys knew most of this, but if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A box, and we will get those answered while we're still on this call. So I'll give you a moment to do that. While you're doing that, Holly, if you'll show the other series. So as I shared before, this is a series of 4 mini sessions. And so our next one will be in 2 days on August 16th about the marketing plan. That's going to be with Austin Goebel with the Reach Center. And then we'll also have one on winning corporate contracts. And that feels like a definite bridge from this workshop that Holly has presented today. And then we'll have one on the 27th on empowering leadership for entrepreneurs. So I don't see any questions in the chat, but I'll give it just a few more minutes in case somebody has a question. But Holly, I will ask you a question.
Sure.
In addition to the SBDC, and we were talking about funding, what other funding areas do you think are really important for those in the trucking industry to consider as far as avenues to make sure that all their financials are in order, those kinds of things?
Well, I would say definitely you want to make sure your financials are in order in terms of you want to begin to build your business credit. And so building your business credit is starting out with those net 30 and net 60 um, avenues. You can go just simply Google net 30, net 60 funding. And a lot of times it's simple. As long as you have an EIN and or an LLC, you can get net 30, net 60 funding. And so that can begin to help you build your business credit. And so as you build your business credit, the ultimate goal is to be able to begin to get funding on your business side versus your personal credit side. Of course, a lot of times they will still look at your personal credit, but if you have a strong business credit as well, that will definitely help you. So I will say you want to definitely start out building your business credit, making sure your personal credit is intact, and that will help you in overall, overall funding. If you, of course, moving into the greatest way to get contracts, if you want to just get contracts, is moving into state contracts, moving into the federal contracting industry. And in that, of course, it's just a process of moving through that process to be able to be a government, whether a state or federal contractor. It's just moving through that process. And like the website I gave them will kind of help them to begin to do that. But in terms of just getting general funding, then right, you're going to want to start out making sure that you're building your credit, because I mean, you have small business loans that you can go after, but even with the small business loans, of course, they still want to ensure that your credit is of a certain number. And also they want to look at your financial history, and it is also very important that you have someone on board that's handling your financials, making sure your taxes are filed properly, making sure you're showing income and things of that nature. So you want to have someone on board that is handling your finances and ensuring that you are filing taxes properly, because all of those are going to have to be shown when you go in to get a loan. You're going to have to show that you have income. You can't just show a loss. You've got to show that you are having an income. So you definitely want a strong financial advisor on board when you have a trucking company. Absolutely.
Thank you so much for that, Holly. We have one question in the chat. It says, are there any tips you can provide regarding search criteria for sam.gov and other sites, navigational search?
I will say I'm going to tell you the best way to start out in the government, trying to get into the government contracting. So the website that I gave you, if you go on there, they will actually begin to help walk you through the steps of becoming a government contractor. So they'll take you through building a business plan. They'll take you through registering on SBA.gov. So it can be very cumbersome navigating through the process. And so I will say go on that website, utilize that resource, because it is a free resource, and they will help you through the process of signing or getting through the proper paperwork, signing up to become a government contractor. There are agencies that you can utilize, and they will charge you, of course, to do it, but that's a free source. And so I will say I will utilize that avenue, because you want to do it the correct way. Because if you don't do it correctly, there will be a lot of delays through the process, and it can get to be very frustrating. So I will say try to utilize that free access, and it will allow you to follow the steps the proper way, so that you can move through the process as quickly as possible. Now, if you want to try to get on with state contracting, you can actually go and type in Alabama Procurement Office, Procurement, Alabama Procurement. You can go on to the Alabama Procurement, and it'll walk you through how to get established as a vendor for Alabama. Okay. So once you get signed on as a vendor for Alabama, you can actually start to bid on contracts for Alabama. You can bid on state contracts. You can also go to Montgomery County Procurement Office website. You can even bid on local contracts, like local county contracts or local city contracts. So sometimes just starting out with a very small contract within your city or within the state is a very good way to get started. You know, sometimes you'll be surprised you can find a city contract. There may be a city agency that needs to transport some sort of good from one location within a city to another, and they're looking for a local trucking company to be able to do that. Okay. And so you can go on there and actually bid to get that contract to be able to do whatever that particular job is. And that's one of the easiest ways to get started with contracts is going on to the procurement office and registering as a contract as a contractor, just simply within the state, the city, or the county.
Thank you so much, Holly. I appreciate that. And
Sure.
I'm sure our attendees appreciated that information today. So
Absolutely.
again, please visit the Alabama Minority Vendor Program website to hear more, to find more information out about the conference, as well as the resources Holly mentioned. And MVP is here to support you. So thank you so much, Holly, for being with us here today. And thank you so much, attendees. And I hope you have a great day.
Thank you, Jennifer. You will
See
have
you
a
at the
good
conference.
day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.